Once again, man, Iceland has got it freaking right. This is how a country, a government, a society, a nation run by law, run by the rule of law, should be. Activistpost.com. Iceland proves third parties have legitimate and crucial role in democracy. What are the chances? This is kind of like, third parties, as in this is almost like the independent party. You know what I mean? Like in America, we have the two parties. Blue, red, Democrat, Republican. That's it. Sorry about your luck. Yeah, but we have independents. Yeah. They don't count. They never get the vote. Do you think this day and age you would expect to have an independent run and actually win in America? Not a chance. Not a chance in the world. However, in Iceland, they are literally cleaning house. The progressive island nation of Iceland is on the verge of rebooting Western democracy and of providing third parties that have a legitimate and important role to play in maintaining the balance of power between people and their leadership. In response to overwhelming government corruption in Iceland, the Pirate Party is now leading in polls, coming into national elections, threatening to install a new type of political party, one based on direct democracy, using technology to amplify the voices of citizens in opposition to entrenched corporate and political powers. Its members are a collection of anarchists, hackers, libertarians, and web geeks. It sets policy through online polls. And by the way, these aren't rigged polls. At least not yet. Not until the club gets in there and starts rigging them. There's always room for fraud and corruption. However, in their particular system, it's not rigged just yet. Could you imagine a poll that came up? Do you Americans wish to accept this thing known as the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare? It was already a resounding no. We didn't want it. We knew it was going to lead to, but they did it anyways. So could you imagine saying, you guys, you politicians, you're not even allowed to pass that law because the polls from the people have spoken. Here in America, call your congressman, call your senator, fax them, send them a fax letter. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'm sure they're going to get it and read it. But if there's an online poll that literally dictates what they do and don't do, that sounds fantastic to me. The only problem that doesn't sound fantastic is when the damn thing starts to get rigged. Wow, people voted for higher taxes? People voted for higher income taxes? Oh, that's golly, I didn't think people, That's the problem. You have to have a system that is like literally hack proof. Kind of like Bitcoin, where they have these, what do you call them? We'll call them hives. I can't think of the term right now. We'll call them hives. And each hive has to essentially have a accounting records, if you will, that all the other hives have. You can't rig one. They all have to match. So one's over here, one's over in that data center, one's here. And, these people, trusting people control them. So they kind of have their own checks and balances, if you will. You put a system like that up in place where it's got open source software, that sort of thing. Not this closed source software that's on these voting machines. You don't know what's in there, what it's doing. The way you can know the polls are legitimate. So its members of this political party are a collection of anarchists, hackers, libertarians, and web geeks. It sets policy through online polls and thinks the government should do the same. It wants to make Iceland, quote, a Switzerland of bits, free of digital snooping. It has offered Edward Snowden a place to call home. And while you're at it, you should bring Assange over there. If they win, this party, this would be another clear signal that the European citizens are rejecting mainstream politics and are willing to update an aging political system to prevent people from being slaves to banks and politicians. And you know what they did with their bankers after the crisis, the same crisis we had. they put him in jail. The distrust that had long been germinating has now exploded. The pirates are riding on that wave. They've had new parties before, and then they've faded. What's surprising is that they're maintaining their momentum. The United States persecutes third parties. In the U.S., however, third parties are persecuted by the Federal Election Commission, by law enforcement, and by the corporate media, who all work in tandem to ensure that alternative candidates are absent from political debates, are treated as criminal elements and dissenters, and that the mere notion of voting outside of the two-party system is viewed as socially irresponsible. Boy, isn't that the truth. The strategy of divide and conquer is as clear as day in America, and as people are pigeonholed into the liberal versus conservative thought boxes, the Republican and Democrat parties are free to move forward with near identical policies, offering nothing new for the American people. Third-party philosophies are permitted to exist only as offshoots of the main parties, such as the efforts by Ron Paul and Bernie Sanders, who both offered platforms vastly different from the neocon private banking imperialism pitched by mainstream candidates. Some final thoughts. Third-party politics is the last stand of world democracy, and as Iceland is about to prove, if people can organize around new ideas which resonate with the population, then they can be elevated and brought into power, if only the establishment system permits their participation. In the U.S., third parties are strictly prohibited. Excuse me. You remember? Tell me if you had one of these when you were a little younger. Maybe, matter of fact, you might have some right now, or one. Members only jacket. Remember that? Little black jacket, members only over here. That's what logo. Oh, members only. I used to get made fun of in school. Oh, you want a members only jacket? I thought that jacket was cool. Okay. But as it says in the U.S., third parties are strictly prohibited. Members only. And that's the red and blue, Democrat, Republican, whatever. Nonsense. Like Gerald Celente, I, too, am a political atheist. I don't believe in, nor do I have faith in, Democrat, Republican, call sign, picture, color, man, woman. I've been over this way too many times. These people work for themselves to enrich themselves. If we had a system in place like what they're suggesting, where we poll all major legislation, we're not talking about balancing the budget and some of this other stuff. We just do the polls. Now, at the same time, like when our president said, we got to cut some spending, budget cuts, and the Defense Department, defense spending has to come down too. And what did your best friend, Jay Snip, foretell you the second I heard that crap out of his mouth? It's like 2 years ago now. I said something like this, probably exactly like this. Mark my words, there will be under any circumstances, no budget cuts for the military-industrial complex. And what has happened? They cut the budget, and then they had to increase it $38 billion. Oh, and then now it's over where we were. Exactly. My exact point. There will be no budget cuts. But could you imagine having a poll? We have a budget in place. Got a budget. Poll. The military-industrial complex is needing more money. Oh, wait, we can't word it like that. We don't want to word it like that, military-industrial complex. The Defense Department and its subsidiary/contractor base are requesting some more money. Do you citizens agree that we should give them more money, as it seems year after year it just keeps increasing and we're in these endless wars? Do you want to do that? Poll? Multiple choice? Yeah. It'll be a political game show contestant, Uncle Sam. True or false? Do you want this or do you not? False. Ooh. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. The appropriate answer we were looking for was A, we need some more money, or B, I won, give me my money. How about no, C, you lost. Wouldn't that be great? You couldn't have these backroom deals and all this crap going on. Because you're not going to have a backroom deal where they say, here, oh, Clinton Foundation or whatever foundation, here's a bunch of money. I want to get in there and make some backroom deals with you. Wait a minute, we can't. This is going to be hit or miss. We're about to give them a bunch of money so that they put this legislation out there to be polled on by the American citizens. Guys, we already know what the citizens are going to say. Absolutely not. They're not going to vote for this. There's not a chance in hell. Well, then we ought to save our money and not even go there. Exactly. My point exactly. You see, our whole system, politics, government, could completely, I shouldn't say completely, mostly, because you're always going to need the human element for something, but it could mostly be brought into simply computerized, digitized, if you will. Simple yes or no, laws, here's the repercussion. If you're guilty, you're guilty. If you're not, you're not, right? So we have people involved, juries, and that sort of thing. None of this crap where, well, the Department of Justice has agreed to settlement, settle out of court with them for, $500 million. Or, oh, the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, has agreed to work with J.P. Morgan Chase on this one. They're going to charge them $600 million for this massive felony crime they committed. But we're not even going to call it that. We're just going to say they settled without admitting guilt and go about our ways. Could you imagine if there was no such thing as, oh, we're going to work with you? It's simply put, sir, did you run that red light? We have it on camera. You absolutely ran it. Here's what the charge is. Here's what the fine is. You're guilty, right? You can't, that's it. That's done. You can't say, well, can I get out of it this time? Can I, nope, you did it. That's it. And in all fairness, that means everywhere, the top two. Oh, what's that? You didn't know that was a classified? Did you, ma'am? I have the. Oh, excuse me, Madam Clinton. We have the sign off that shows you received the top secret information on how to deal with top secret information, and that the C stood for classified. You signed off on that. You also gave your not just your signature. You what do they call it? Initial. You initialed it as well. Is that your signature, ma'am? That matches the right? Yes, it is. Okay. You're guilty. Here's what the fine is. Here's what the punishment is, and or fine, whatever it may be. There needs to be no such thing as, well, there wasn't really intent. And since there wasn't intent, intent's really hard to prove. It's one of the hardest things to prove. Oh, that's okay. We've got emails saying, I got subpoenaed. Erase that shit. Sir, that's not hard to prove. That's intent. Yeah, but we already closed the case. We're not going to reopen it. Wait a minute. The digital government system says you're null and void. The crime's been committed. A jury must now decide whether she did it or not. And then when the jury decides, the electronic system, which is already written in stone, decides what the punishment is. And in this case, classified information, that's actually prison time. Ooh, sorry about that, Hillary Clinton. That is incorrect. What planet am I even thinking about, right? Am I on thinking like this? American politics? Pfft. Let them not have their control and power? Pfft. Come on. Who do I think I am? Some guy in Iceland? Anyways, Iceland is doing it right. We should follow suit, but it's not going to happen. History says so. I'm sorry to tell you that. Take care.